Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing a Divine Dragon Lord Felgrand Shaddoll deck profile. So you guys are going to look at this deck and go, whoa, you madman. But it works, and it's super fun, and it is just a super cool deck. But you guys have been requesting like crazy for me to do a Felgrand deck update because it's a fun deck. Felgrand is an awesome card. So I wanted to do an update of it, and I really quickly wanted to incorporate Shaddoll so I can go into Construct as well, and it works. This deck is fun, and it just works. So without further ado, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad. Definitely tell me what you think of this video down in the comments down below, and check out the Ko-Fi and Patreon down in the description below so you guys can definitely donate to the channel. It really helps out, and let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Divine Dragon Lord Felgrand. So you guys might be looking at that and being like, man, that bricks a little bit, but you got to remember, Felgrand is basically just a light target in this deck, and he's also level 8, so your construct in him, he can definitely become a Hope Harboring Dragon Titanic Galaxy. But he's also a really big beat stick that if this card is special summoned from the graveyard, you can target one monster your opponent controls that's in their graveyard and banish it, and if you do, that they control or in their graveyard, and if you do banish it, and this card gains attack and defense equal to the banished monster's original level or rank. And if this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can target one level 7 or 8 dragon monster in your graveyard, or level 7 or 8, dragon type monster, except another copy of itself, and special summon it to your field. Which we play plenty of dragons in this deck as well. Then we play 3 copies of Archbrave Dragon, which is the normal way that you're going to be special summoning out this card. Because basically what this card does is if this card is special summoned from the graveyard, you can banish as many spell or trap cards your opponent controls as possible. And if you do, this card gains 200 attack for each of the banished cards. And then once per turn during your standby phase, if this card was in the graveyard because it was sent there last turn, you can target a level 7 or 8 dragon monster in your graveyard, except another copy of Archbrave, and special summon it. You see where I'm going with this? You use Shaddoll Fusion, you send the Divine Dragon Felgrand to the graveyard and let him sit there, and then you Shaddoll Fusion for your Archbrave, and you send it to the graveyard to summon Construct, and then this card next turn surprises your opponent, special summons itself, and then banishes something from their graveyard, and then becomes really big, or banishes a monster off their field. It depends on what you need. Then we play 2 copies of Dragon Knight of Creation. I really like this card as my one, normal summon in the deck, because it has the ability to increases his level by 4 during your opponent's turn only, and then when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the grave, you can send a level 7 or 8 dragon monster from your deck to the graveyard, which is usually the Archbrave. And then it also has the ability that you can send one card from your hand to the graveyard and then target a level 7 or 8 dragon monster in your graveyard, send this card to the graveyard, and if you do, you special summon that target as well. Which then your Shaddoll triggers as well because it was sent to the graveyard, and it just plays really nicely. I even thought about playing this card at 3 because it was that good, but I just played it at 2 because I see it when I need to, and I don't when I don't. Then we play a single copy of Chaos Emperor Dragon, Envoy of the End. The Chaos Emperor Dragon really helps out with the rank 8 plays, and also it helps with board wiping as well. 1 copy of Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. This card's really good as well too because it special summons back our copy of Divine Dragon Lord Felgrand. And then a surprise tech in here that I'm playing is a single copy of Amorphage Goliath. So the Amorphage Goliath is crazy in this deck because basically what this card does is neither player can special summon monsters from the extra deck except Amorphage monsters. But it basically locks your opponent down from special summoning at all because they're not going to be special summoning Amorphage monsters. And so this card's really, really good. It also has a 27 beat stick, and it special summons itself to your side of the field as well easily off of the Archbrave. If you just send it to the graveyard with Dragon Shrine, this card's really easy to summon, and I really like it as a 1-of. So for the Shaddolls, moving into the Shaddolls, we're playing a single copy of Shaddoll Beast. If you guys don't know what this does, is I'm going to go over the Shaddolls really quickly. If you guys don't know what Shaddolls do, basically if they're flipped face up, they have an effect, and if they're sent to the graveyard, they have an effect, and if you can't activate both of the effects in the same turn of their named card. So I can only use the flip effect or the send to graveyard effects during my turn. So what Shaddoll Beast does is if it's flip face up, you draw 2 and then discard 1, and when it's sent to the graveyard, you get to draw a card. I play a single copy of Shaddoll Dragon. Shaddoll Dragon, if it's flip face up, I target a card my opponent controls and return it to the hand, and if it's sent to the graveyard, I get to I get to flip this card face up and it returns a monster to the hand. If it's sent to the graveyard, it MSTs and pops something on the field. We play 2 copies of Squigmata. Squigmata is when it's flip face up, you get to target a monster on the field and destroy it. And if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can send a Shaddoll card from your deck to the graveyard, which basically is like a Foolish Burial effect. 1 copy of Hedgehog. Hedgehog, if it's flip face up, you get to add a Shaddoll spell or trap from your deck to your hand. And if it's sent to the graveyard, you get to add a Shaddoll monster from your deck to your hand. 1 copy of Falco. I play the Falco in here because I really like the ability of special summoning back my Shaddolls. If it's flip face up, I get to target a Shaddoll in my graveyard and special summon it in face down defense. And if it is sent to the graveyard, it special summons itself in face down defense. 1 copy of Shaddoll Ariel. Shaddoll Ariel is neat too because she's flip face up. She lets you target a Shaddoll monster and then special summon it in face up or face down defense. And if she is sent to the graveyard, you get to target 3 cards in the graveyard and banish them in either player's graveyard, which is pretty cool. And then we play 2 copies of Shaddoll Windy. Shaddoll Windy is really good in here too. She's basically the best Shaddoll now. If she's sent to the graveyard, you can special summon a Shaddoll monster from your deck in face down defense. And if she's flip face up, you can special summon a Shaddoll monster from your deck in face up or face down defense, which is pretty cool. So that's it for the monsters, guys. I know it's a weird looking deck, but it works. Like your Felgrand engine's up here, your Shaddoll engine's down here, and this sends these to grave, which in turn special summons back this card, which is basically what the whole point of the deck is. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Monster Reborn. Monster Reborn helps out because Divine Dragon Lord Felgrand says, hey, if I'm special summoned back, I banish something. So that's basically the whole point of this deck. 1 copy of Foolish Burial because it can send to graveyard any of the Shaddolls that you need, or even Arcbrave if you need to send Arcbrave to grave. 3 copies of Shaddoll Fusion. Now this card is basically like Foolish Burial as well, but it lets you special summon a monster off of it like Construct. You can either send Arcbrave to graveyard, or you can send a copy of your Divine Dragon Lord Felgrand, depending on what you have engraved already. You just kind of got to play around with it and see what you have engraved and what you need engraved, and then revive what you want to revive. If you have ways to revive Felgrand, you just send Felgrand. If you don't, you send Arcbrave and then you send Felgrand and then Arcbrave, but you always want to have a Felgrand in graveyard to be able to bring it back. Then we play 3 copies of Shaddoll Fusion. Shaddoll Fusion helps out as well, because if you have a card stuck in your hand, you can just fusion summon it away with this card. The really neat thing about this card is if your opponent special summons a monster from the extra deck, you can use this card from your hand and use monsters that are in your deck, which is pretty cool. And then Shaddoll Fusion is just basically quick play polymerization, which is pretty cool. Then we play 3 copies of Super Polymerization because our opponent might be playing the particular element that we want or type that we need for like lights or darks or another Shaddoll deck. Depends on what you're playing, but the most common archetype or like the most common typings are light and dark anyways, so you're going to either summon Window or Construct in this deck. We're going to be playing also 3 copies of Call by the Grave because you just don't want to deal with our opponent's hand traps at all. 2 copies of our Dragon Shrine. Dragon Shrine really helps out as well because if you like Shaddoll Fusion away for like a copy of, let's just say I always open up with the Dragon Shrine because it kind of feels out if my opponent has a hand trap like an Ash Blossom or something. And then I always go second with my Shaddoll Fusion because my Shaddoll Fusion is going to really summon me the monster that I want, which is Construct. So then I always send like Felgrand Dragon to the graveyard, and then I'll send like a copy of Windy or something to the graveyard or Beast so I can draw deeper into the deck. And then later on I can do like Foolish and send Arcbrave to the graveyard and then really get some plays off. And for the last 3 spells, we're playing 3 copies of Return of the Dragon Lords because you are always going to have a copy of Felgrand in the graveyard, and this card just brings Felgrand right back. And it's basically like playing 4 copies of Monster Reborn, and you're also playing like 2 copies or 3 copies in the form of Arcbrave, so you're essentially playing 7 copies of Monster Reborn, which is really, really cool. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing just a single copy of the Shaddoll Incarnation. The reason we played this is because there's a cool little combo with this card that, for instance, I'm going to show you guys really quickly. If you have a copy of, let's say, Shaddoll Construct in your graveyard, and you have this card in your graveyard as well, because usually I'll send this to grave when I have my Shaddoll Construct in the graveyard, and I have a copy of the Ariel in my hand, which is really easy to summon, or I fusion summon using like a copy of my Windy, Like, let's say Wendy was used as a fusion summon and she's in the graveyard. But regardless, as long as you have this in your hand and you have the incarnation in the graveyard, you're fine. But basically what you're going to want to do is just set this card, use your copy of the reincarnation, and then once you use the reincarnation, you banish these two. The one that you want to summon is always this one, and then you banish this as well for the triggering effect to flip a Shaddoll. You flip this face up, she triggers, and then special summons back the Shaddoll that you banished. So basically you get it for free, which is pretty cool. I mean, you just special summon it face up or face down defense, so you just special summon Construct on the field, or your Apokalon or Winda or whatever you want onto your side of the field, and then trigger its effect. Or you can use it as a link material, send it to the graveyard, and then grab a copy of your Shaddoll Fusion that was in your graveyard as well. So that's it for the main deck, and that was a really cool, quick combo for you guys if you didn't know about that combo with the Shaddoll Incarnation. So for the extra deck, moving on into that, we're going to be playing 3 copies of our El Shaddoll Construct. She is the best card in the extra deck that we're going to be summoning all the time in this extra deck. Like, all the time. And then she must be fusion summoned, and if she's fusion summoned, if she's special summoned, you can send a Shaddoll from your deck to the graveyard, any Shaddoll card. So, like, you could feasibly every time send this card to the graveyard and get it set up, which I do a lot. And then if you used Wendy to fusion summon this card, you just special summon out your copy of Ariel and then banish it to the graveyard after you use this as a link material, which is really cool. And she also has the ability, if she battles a special summon monster, you destroy that monster, and if she's sent to the graveyard, you target a Shaddoll spell or trap and add it back to your hand, which you're always going to have a Shaddoll spell or trap in the graveyard because you used her as a material. You had to use some sort of fusion spell to summon her. Then we play 2 copies of El Shaddoll Winda. Winda really helps out as well because it makes it so your opponent neither player can special summon more than once per turn, which is not that big of a deal for us, because if we get this on the field and we can summon 1 Felgrand and banish something, you already have a big beat stick, and then you have this on the field, so it's really, really helpful and really pivotal. She also has the ability that once per turn, if she's special summoned, or if she's sent to the graveyard, you can add a Shaddoll spell or trap from your graveyard to your hand. Then we play 2 copies of El Shaddoll Apokalon. Apokalon, I feel like, is a 2-of in here. If you want to drop her down to 1, you could definitely play a single copy of Shikanaga, but I like the 2 copies of it. But you just fusion summon this card with 2 different Shaddolls with different attributes. And she has the ability that she can't be destroyed by battle, and if this card is special summoned, you can either target a monster on the field and negate its effects, or if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add a Shaddoll spell or trap from your deck to your hand. If you do, you discard a card, which could be a copy of Arcbrave or something like that to trigger their abilities. For the Super Poly targets, we're playing Starving Venom. Well, besides this being Super Poly targets, but we play Starving Venom and Mud Dragon as our 2 Super Poly targets besides our other Shaddolls, and it really helps them get it out. For our XYZs, we're playing number 38, Hope Harboring Dragon Titanic Galaxy, and it wouldn't be a Felgrand deck without Divine Dragon Knight Felgrand. So you play this card as a 1-of, and I do have the Ghost Rare version, so definitely give us a like for that one, guys. It's really a cool version of this card. It actually, if you hold it the right way, you can see like its shimmer in the background, like right there, you see the shimmer of Felgrand. I love the artwork of this card. It's absolutely insane. But you detach a material from this card, and then if you do, you get to target a monster on the field, and then its effects are negated, but it's unaffected by other card effects this turn, which can be really helpful for this deck. We play a single copy of Boral Sword just to help us OTK. Now, you could change this out for Avermax, Boral Load, any Link 4 that you feel like you need. I play 2 copies of Cross Sheep as well. Since this deck primarily fusion summons, Cross Sheep comes in really, really clutch. If you don't feel like you need the second copy, you can drop it out and put something else that you feel like you need to, because I know Cross Sheep is like a $7 card right now. But I know I'm not going to help with this next card, and then as a single copy of Predaplant Verte Anaconda. Anaconda is really good in this deck because you can target a monster on the field and it becomes dark, and then you can pay 2,000 life points to send a fusion or polymerization, normal or quick play spell from your deck to the graveyard, and then that spell's effect becomes this card's effect. So basically you can send Super Poly, target a really problematic card on your opponent's side of the field, target one of them that's not a dark. If they have a dark on the field, you use Super Poly, and then you summon Starving Venom under this card, which is really, really, really good. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Give this deck a try. It's super fun. You guys wanted that Felgrand deck, and I really wanted to deliver on this one, and I hope you enjoyed this one. It's really fun. And I really think that the Shaddoll engine is the way to go in this deck, because it's so easy to send Felgrand and your copies of your Arcbrave to the graveyard, and it counts as a light target, which is just so good. But anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell so you can become part of the notification squad. Definitely check out the Ko-Fi and the Patreon down in the description below so you guys can definitely donate to the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video. See you around, guys.